Okay, shall we start solving problems? Now see, the questions will be like this. Find the principal value of sine inverse of 1 by root 2. Meaning they are saying y is equal to sine inverse of 1 by root 2. So what is the input for inverse functions, inverse trigonometric functions? You give values and what is expected as the output? Angle. So what we need to do is, I'll tell you the certain steps for the exam perspective. Okay. You can actually solve this problem in one step. You can tell the answer by now. What is the answer? That is pi by 4. Okay. You need to write it in terms of radian. But see, the steps that you need to follow is consider sine on both sides. Okay. So sine y will be equal to sine inverse of 1 by root 2. Remember, this is f and sine inverse is g. So basically, f of f inverse of x is going to give you x only, because you will get, when you do the composition, you are getting an identity function. So sine of sine inverse of 1 by root 2 will give me 1 by root 2. So what value of sine will give me this 1 by root 2? So basically what you will do is, you will write sine pi by 4 is equal to 1 by root 2. As I told you, this is only for exam perspective. So y will be pi by 4. This is how you need to write. These steps are expected. Y is pi by 4. Or see, I'm sorry, 1 minute. This you will write it as sine pi by 4. Okay. So one point, see, this problem is simple, right? But once you write this pi by 4, no, you need to check whether the angle that you have written is within the restricted domain. It should be within this value. So pi by 4, is it existing between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2? Hence you can take it. Okay. That is the reason why sine y is equal to sine pi by 4, you will write y is equal to pi by 4. This is the answer. Okay. So if you have understood, let me do few problems, then you can copy it. Yeah. It's not checking. Sine y, checking now, which checking you are saying with that, this one. You have to check. Inverse. Inverse would have principal range எடுக்கணும். அது right side இருக்கு. Okay. ஒன்றும் இல்லை, நீ ஒருவேளை see, if at all you are solving a trigonometric function in mind, domain எடுக்கணும். That's up to you. If you are taking the inverse trigonometric function, you need to check the range. But here, if you see, technically speaking, they are asking principal value, now they are asking the principal range only. Okay. So it is pi by 4. I hope it is clear, right? So I told you, know, this is how they write. We know that the range of the principal value branch of sine inverse is between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Hence, pi by 4 lies between that. We take that value. Okay. All the story you need to write. Now you see, principal value of cot inverse of negative of 1 by root 3. Right. So for cot inverse, right, or if you remember for cot, for that matter, for cot, what is the domain and range? 0 to pi to real numbers. So this is a real number which is given as an input. Okay, as domain it is succeeding. What is the range? What is the value that is expected? You need to write some number between 0 to pi. So if you see, where will if I take cot on both the sides, okay, cot y is equal to cot inverse of 1 by root 3 with a minus sign. So what will the answer be? Minus 1 by root 3. So where will cot give you the negative sign for the first time? I'll tell you how to solve. See, there is actually a property which we'll learn in the next exercise, but unfortunately it's deleted. If that is known, you can solve it in one step. Okay, but initially I'll tell you what is the method at which you need to look. First, if I take it as a positive value, where will cot give you the positive value of 1 by root 3 for the first time? First quadrant. So what angle is that? Cot 60. So had it been 1 by root 3, you can do this as a rough work initially. The angle would have been pi by 3. If I take pi by 3, the question should have been 1 by root 3. But it will give me the negative value for the first time in the second quadrant. Why I am saying second quadrant is because whenever you have negative value in a problem, right, you'll either have the answer in the second quadrant or in the fourth quadrant. Why I'm telling this is, listen to this. This table is telling me whenever I have sine inverse of a positive value, the angle will be restricted to the first quadrant. So for that matter, any inverse trigonometric function, if it has a positive value inside it, the angle will be in the first quadrant. If it has a negative value, for sine inverse, cosecant inverse and tan inverse, you will have the negative value in the fourth quadrant. Why? Because look at their ranges. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, minus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2 and minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Whereas for cos inverse, secant inverse and cot inverse, if they give you a negative value, they will lie in the second quadrant. Why is it so? Because 0 to pi by 2 is first quadrant, pi by 2 to pi is second quadrant. So same is the case here, same is the case here. So in this case, what is happening? It is cot, means the angle will be restricted to the second quadrant. So first you found the positive value, no? So since you are saying the value lies in the second quadrant, just put this. Don't ask me why, add it as of now. I told you, there is a property. This one alone I can tell only in the next exercise. Just put a pi minus pi by 3. So what will be the answer? So this will be cot of 2 pi by 3. So what is the answer? Cot y is equal to cot 2 pi by 3. So y will be equal to 2 pi by 3. So what will you do? Whenever you have a negative value, first assume it to be positive, do a rough work, assume it to be positive, find what is the value in the first quadrant. If the inverse trigonometric functions are cot inverse, which values have 0 to pi? Look at the table. Cos, secant and cot. So if they are either of these three inverse trigonometric functions, you found that initial angle, no, acute angle, write it as pi minus pi by pi minus whatever is that angle. That will be the answer. Whereas if they are the remaining three, what are they? Sine inverse, cosecant inverse or tan inverse, you will find this positive value, no? Just put a minus sign in front of it, that's the answer. Because when you put a minus sign, it's in the fourth quadrant. When you write pi minus angle, it is in the second quadrant. Now you understood why I am talking about second and fourth quadrant? Because some trigonometric functions have the restricted range in the second quadrant, till the second quadrant, between the first and the second. Some have between the first and the fourth. Okay, so is this clear? Right. So as I told you, let me solve a few problems. See, I'll do 2-3 problems, then you can. Which doesn't exist? Doesn't exist in the sense, அது negative values இருந்தால் மட்டும் இதெல்லாம் பண்ணணும். If it is positive value, you will not break your head. See, for example, இப்போ இந்த question இருக்கு, ஒன்றும் இல்லை, simple, உள்ள இருக்கிற வேல்யூ பார். If it is positive, don't break your head. Answer is first quadrant. Okay, you need to do all the operations which I told you only if it is negative. இப்போ இந்த ப்ராப்ளம்ல என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா, it is negative value. So first what I did is, I am repeating the steps, listen to this carefully. First I'll consider it as a positive value. Positive value which I'll find the acute angle. So positive value இருந்தாலும் acute angle தான் வரும். That is the first, that is the angle in the first quadrant. Then what you need to do is, look at the principal range of that particular inverse trigonometric function. Principal range of which inverse trigonometric functions are between 0 to pi? திருப்பி சொல்லுங்க. Cos inverse, cot inverse and secant inverse. So if the question is either cos inverse, cot inverse or secant inverse, you found the acute angle, no? And the acute angle, you will write it as pi minus that acute angle. Just substitute, that is the answer. Whereas if it is sine inverse, cosecant inverse or tan inverse, you will find the acute angle, no? Just put a minus sign in front of it, you are done. Sine inverse minus of then. That's the panna poram. Now your first question, okay. Yeah. Answer would have been minus pi by 4. Second varade, sine inverse, what is the principal range? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Illada, second quadrant varadu. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 na, idu minus pi by 2. Idu plus pi by 2. Inge da irukum value. Okay, you are finding an acute angle, right? And the acute angle minus sign போடணும் அவ்வளவுதான். For example, to answer your question, right, had it been y is equal to sine inverse of negative of 1 by root 2, irundirundha, first I'll treat that negative value as positive value. Had it been positive, I'll do a rough work first. I'll do it. Okay, rough work pandrappo, what will I get? I'll get pi by 4. So I'll follow the same steps. So answer என்னது இருக்கு? Steps அப்புறம் சொல்றேன். Pi by 4. Since இதுக்கு வந்து minus pi by 2 pi by 2 நால answer is minus pi by 4. Question பார்க்கறதுக்கு என்ன பார்க்கணும்? What is that you need to see? What is that I'm stressing on? You need to look at the inverse trigonometric function. So which inverse trigonometric, திருப்பி அதை நான் already 2 times சொல்லிட்டேன். So you have to check the inverse trigonometric functions which have between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. அதுக்கு வந்து find the acute angle, put a minus sign. For the functions which have between 0 to pi, find the acute angle, write it as pi minus acute angle. Okay.